Immaterial Games Podcast with these guys.
Let's move random stuff out of the way, like multivitamins. We don't want them shaking and falling all over the place.
You can't afford to be healthy. We're recording a podcast right now.
Yeah, none of that. Can't afford to sort of gain back into some sort of shape other than rotund. Yeah. Right, here we go. This is the Immaterial Gamers podcast. This is episode 31.
Oh
31.
my god. 31.
Yeah, its number is my age.
My god, you're old. I don't think I can
Yeah.
be friends with someone who's 31.
Oh well, that's gonna be the shame.
We're gonna have to stick
Yeah.
to work acquaintances.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. It's fine. It's funny enough that I actually saw something on a bus yesterday that was like, here are the benefits of working with our company. You get £24,000 a year minus tax.
Right.
You get these great travel locations that you're fixed to, and you make friends instead of colleagues. I'm like,
Make friends instead of colleagues. It's like, that's a bold claim.
yeah.
Putting that shit on a billboard, if it doesn't turn out, I could sue. I could. I will. It's like, I'm not friends with any of these people. I want £1 million.
Yeah. I did not make friends. Did you speak to anyone? Absolutely fucking not. I just about turned around and said the price of tickets.
You never said that talking was a requirement of being friends at your company.
Yeah. You just told me I had friends. So, well, yeah, not working for you, but I just thought that made sense given what we were saying. Anyway,
So no one told you life was gonna be this way. And then the podcast started.
Yeah, so yeah, friends joke. So anyway,
God, it's like we're always stuck in second gear or something, you know?
yeah, when it hasn't been, our day, our week, our month, or even our year. So anyway, I'm Ryan. After we get through these preambles and distractions and pop culture references of decades old television now, if you didn't feel old before, well, I certainly bloody feel it now. And I also have Duncan.
That's me. Hi.
Hi. You were there. You were probably there at the beginning of Friends, and just everything went so well. And then the world happened.
I don't. You know, I watched Friends very passively. I didn't sit down to watch Friends. It was sometimes on.
I'll be fair, I know the character names. I know there was one scene early on where someone was getting married with someone else and they used his ex-girlfriend's name instead of his wife-to-be's.
Oh.
And they spent all their time in a coffee shop.
They do spend a lot of time at the coffee shop.
They know about the microbubbles of a flat white.
I feel like that
don't.
coffee shop had a famous name. I can't remember what it was.
What was it called? Central Perk.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Speaking of perks, the perks are you get to listen to us ramble on about stuff before we even get to what we've been playing.
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing. So based on that, we will move to what's been played. And
insert Ryan going, what's been played here?
What's being played?
Yep, exactly. So that'll have been inserted, and you never know, I may even just insert it again for giggles. But yeah.
But instead of doing it all slow and echoey, it's just high pitched and sweet. It's like, what's been played?
What's being played?
I'd have to record that. And what the heck is that?
I think we've been joined by a silent stalker.
A silent viewer of
We have one member of the studio audience whose reactions we cannot hear.
Perfect. That's great. Sweet. Makes it easier. Right, so, Duncan.
Me.
What have you played? I asked you beforehand, but just for the benefit of people at home, something that wasn't brought up last week when I joked with Martin about playing Star Trek. Yes, I did know, but the audience doesn't. So, as you were. Sorry.
Right. So sadly, I've hit that point that I hit a lot of times where I've exhausted my list of things I've actually done that are different than the things I've done in previous weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I have to report is that I've been playing one game a little bit differently than I have previous games in previous weeks. I've been playing more auto chess in Dota 2. Still having fun
Yay.
with that. It's still going strong. I haven't seen the active players numbers drop at all.
Oh, good. So it's still got a fan base.
Yes. No, it's still going strong.
Good.
All the former Hearthstone Twitch streamers are still getting
Still
into
playing auto chess.
it. Yeah, I'm starting to think that one of them might just switch over to it full time, because I think it's been like months since he uploaded a Hearthstone video.
Oh God. So he's just decided to go. Well, Hearthstone was fun, but this is my new fun.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, I've been playing that. The one thing I've done differently, one thing that's different about that is I was playing it with my cousin Terry, who is special guest, sort of fringe member of our Immaterial Gamers group here. He was on one podcast, I don't know, 6 months ago or something.
Yeah, and he had a good time on that podcast. Just schedules haven't aligned for him to be around, but he is a member.
Maybe someday he'll be off on a Sunday afternoon and awake.
Well, yeah, that as well.
Wake him up inside.
You can't wake up.
He'd appreciate it. He likes that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got him into playing it after, trying to get him to play it for a number of weeks now. We finally sat down and downloaded it, and we had a play session. We played like 2 or 3 games back to back, and I had the benefit of watching all of these former Twitch streamers switch over to the new hotness, and watching a few videos first before I started to play the game myself. So I kind of had an idea of how the game functioned before I actually played it.
Yeah.
Terry did not have that benefit. He did not decide to watch any videos. He just took the crash course version of it, where he just sort of rammed his way through the game. And since I was playing a game at the same time as him, not in the same game as him, I was kind of like throwing like spot tips over my shoulder that were sort of half-assed and not fully thought out, because I was, splitting my attention. Auto chess is actually, like, despite, being chess, is surprisingly like fast-paced game. Like, you really can't stop thinking about it for more than a couple seconds at a time.
Yeah, that's probably because of the auto part of it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of moving parts in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of got to be on top of it if you really want to succeed.
Yeah.
So I for that little while we played. He kind of started to get the idea of it, and then we stopped. And at first I was a little bit afraid that he might not be super into it, because he was getting his ass kicked a lot, and I couldn't really fully educate him on how to be better.
Yeah.
So then we took a break from that, and we actually started to play a StarCraft mod called Minerals, which I've only just now realized is another game that I played.
Yeah.
So similar to how I'll just sort of transition into this in between my auto chess thing here. So similar to how auto chess is a mod of StarCraft 2, God damn it, auto chess is a mod of Dota 2. Minerals is a mod for StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
It's basically it's kind of like a tower defense game, where you hole up in a little crevice somewhere on a map, on a custom StarCraft map somewhere. And you build a base, you put up a wall to stop bad guys from coming in, you put up cannons to kill the bad guys, you put up generators to power your cannons, you use healers to heal the wall, etc., etc. There's a couple components to it. But it's basically like a tower defense survival game.
Yeah.
That they've built into StarCraft's free arcade. Anyone can play this.
That's good. See, that's what I actually like about sort of that was a good Blizzard thing. So they knew that people would, the modding community is big on Blizzard's strategy games.
Yeah.
So the fact that with StarCraft 2 that they added, like you said, the arcade, is that part of the starter edition then?
Yeah, I believe the arcade is free access to the starter edition that anyone can download for free.
Yeah. So that's the cool bit. And then the idea is, we know that this is the business opportunity. If they get people playing the starter edition and they play, the arcade, there is the chance that people go ahead and pick up the full release. Between that and the between that and the sort of the esports league that they've at least got with StarCraft, people will play it. Sometimes people really suck, like me, and you just want to sit there and play an RPG mod.
Yeah. No, was Blizzard like the first company to really like play heavily into like modified and entirely custom maps based on their original strategy game? I mean, I feel like that was very much a Blizzard thing. Like, other companies are doing that a lot more now, but I feel like for a long time that was really Blizzard's territory.
Oh yeah.
Between Warcraft 3 and StarCraft Brood War, I mean, God, there are entire genres of games, arguably companies and developers that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the StarCraft and Warcraft modding communities.
Yeah, I mean, we can wrap that back round. Let's give it this way. Dota.
Yeah, exactly. It links really nicely back into the rest of my Dota discussion. I mean, Dota as a game is based off... I mean, literally, Dota is an acronym for Defense of the Ancients, which was a Warcraft map, which itself was based on an earlier StarCraft map.
Yeah.
So,
and that would not have been possible without the modding tools.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's...
the Battle.net afforded.
Exactly. So it's like really gone full circle in a lot of ways how, they created this game that was in itself its own game, but they gave you tools to modify it into completely new games that are nothing like how, the original game played. And people took inspiration from that, made their own games. There was a lawsuit or two. Then they, when that was settled, they went on, made their own games that were similar to the mods from those previous games, and then those modded games turned around and made their own mods for their modded game.
Yeah, and that's, that is the sort of creativity defined. Some people won't, the people won't have the full tools to make full games. They have, like, little ways that they can do code with existing assets, and providing they're not trying to say that they're full releases with those assets, that's Unity, then everything's good. And if people enjoy them, they enjoy them.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a very interesting experience. But yeah, so after we played Minerals a couple times, we got back into Dota 2. And this time around, I thought, from the earlier experience, I thought, we're probably going to play a game or two, and then he'll probably either be like, it's fun, but I kind of want to learn how to play on my own time, and we'll just put it away for now. Or he'll be like, nah, fuck this, I don't like this game. I think we played like 8 games in a row, or something like that.
Which
is a big deal.
Third option.
Yeah, which is a big deal because in a game of auto chess is like between 20 and 40 minutes usually, but depending on whether you win or die.
Yeah, so that
was
quite a bit of time lost.
It was quite a jam session. We were up till after 1 in the morning playing Dota together. Or auto chess, rather. Nice. And did you have any success through that? Yeah, we did pretty well. I came in second or in third a couple times out of 8. And Terry managed to get a third place position actually on one of his last games. He managed to get a third place in a match, and I was so happy for him. Nice. I'm a little bit annoyed though because auto chess has its own like ranking system internally, and by the end of the play session, Terry, despite having never played the game before that day, ended up at the same rank as me. I can predict some good battles going ahead then, if that keeps going. Yeah. He's picking it up pretty quickly. I think once he speeds up and has a couple more practice games, he'll probably be about the same level as me. The ranks already say that he's the same, but I have been at a higher rank than I'm at right now. It's just it's just sometimes you win and you lose. Yeah, it's just how ELO works. Yep. But yeah, cool. Yeah, and that was all on Friday. 100% of that was on Friday. That's pretty much all I had to talk about. Just nice. No worries. That's. But Friday was busy. Yeah, that's cool. No worries. Well, I certainly said that I was going to go and play auto chess. I haven't done that, but I have played a couple of things over this week that'll be interesting to discuss. The first being what I was speaking to you before we set up the podcast about. Yes. A little odd game by the name of Roombo
First Blood.
Roombo, First Blood.
Which is just great. Yeah, this is on the Humble Monthly Trove collection, so anyone who's subscribed to the Humble Monthly bundle thing has access to all these little original games and shorts, and sometimes not so short, full releases. But yeah, this was one that was for those who haven't watched the video that's up on the YouTube,
which you should totally do.
Yeah, you
If
should
you
as well.
In fact,
Just
if you
so
have, do it again anyway. Just watch it.
Yeah,
Get that view count up there.
get those watch minutes up. But yeah, so it's a game by Samurai Punk, who made a couple of other games in the past. One of them being Screen Cheat, the 4 to 8 player first-person shooter, where everyone is invisible, so you have to look at everyone else's screens to find out where they are and kill them.
Yeah, well,
because every shot's one-hit kill.
Yeah, everyone is invisible to each other, and they can only see each other by looking at each other's screens. And because they're not invisible to themselves, they're only visible to everyone else. So they have to try and use their other people's screens, and also, I guess, the trajectory of their weapons to figure out where they are.
Mm-hmm. And it's sort of helped by the fact that the maps are in very, very bright coloured areas to give sort of zones. So the idea then is you look at each other's screens to try and determine where you all are to cause chaos. Killing people with blunderbusses to candlesticks.
Whatever you got.
Yeah. And they made a VR game as well called The American Dream, set in 1950s America, where you take part in a facility that wants you to understand how great guns are at performing every task. So you go through the games, or you go through the areas, doing just that.
Making a sandwich. Bang!
Yeah, bang.
Success.
Having a beer.
Shoot the lid off.
Yep, shoot the lid off, drink it. Put the baby to sleep. Shoot the cot. You know, all that. But yeah, they make quirky, weird games, and Roomba First Blood is no exception from that rule. The game is a isometric stealth game where you play as a Roomba in a house, defending that house and its valuables inside from burglars who come through the window. You do that by distraction, by honking. Yes, the Roomba honks. Setting off traps such as like electrical sockets, ceiling fans, shutting doors on enemies to force them to go around, exploding stuff. And then once you have neutralized the intruders, that is by killing them, you then hoover them up, and the race to get the house back to what it was before the family come back happens. So it's very viscera cleanup detail style, as you have stopped all these burglars and then realizing you've got a minute before the family arrive, and you have to clear the bloodstains and footprints that are all around the house before you do. And it's weird. The cutest little thing on it, which is weird in a game about a deadly Roomba protecting his house, is that as you're setting the traps off and killing these burglars, you can hoover some of the blood up straight off, which then sends you into a first blood mode. The Roomba suddenly sports a John Rambo style headband, and then you have the ability to just ram into a burglar and kill or deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and then of course cause more blood to splat all over the place. It's a short game. There are 5 levels, and what sort of changes is basically it just increases the amount of valuables in the place, increases the amount of burglars in there. It just makes it a bit more hectic. But yeah, it was a short little game. It was a fun game.
Weird. It kind of sounds like that First Blood thing. It kind of reminds me of that UHF skit, where it's just fucking Weird Al, and he's like winding up to shoot an arrow at some guy who's shooting at him with a submachine gun, and then it cuts to a wide shot, and they're like 2 feet away.
Yep.
And then he fires the bow, and it just explodes.
Oh, good old exploding stuff. But yeah, no, it was something I gave Samurai Punk its due by mentioning that it is their game. and I'd honestly, if you've got the Humble Monthly, just check it out. There's no sponsorships or anything like that. I'm doing this as a person who is enthusiastic about odd little stuff. So, I'd pick it up, give it a try. You might feel a little bit better of yourself. And then, other than
Home
that...
Alone meets Mr. Cleanup.
Yeah, I think that is exactly as I thought about it as well. It's just like, yeah, there we go. And it's just the way that you reminded me now as well, once you've like cleared the level and you're on the cleanup bit, it does go very Home Alone style with this like upbeat, chirpy music as you're racing to clear this, this stuff off the floor. It's like, I was like, this is so charming, but so evil at the same time. I love it. So, yeah, there was that. And then also, I played some Vermintide. Warhammer End Times Vermintide.
Well, that's the it's the Left 4 Dead thing, right?
That is indeed. Played the sequel to it, which is being creatively named Warhammer Vermintide 2, and it's kind of more of the same, really.
Vermination.
The vermining. But like you say, it's a Left 4 Dead style game. You and a team of 3 other party members take on missions where you then have to plough through a bunch of Skaven, which are rat people. But in Vermintide 2, you take on more. You take on Northerners and Chaos and Warriors and stuff like that. It's Vermintide with more. Though the game has got some little improvements, like you've got a power system now in the way that the difficulties work, that you can basically, your characters can get stronger permanently, as opposed to sort of the Left 4 Dead thing of resetting the game every time you play it. So it just sort of makes things a little bit better. There's not much more I can say really. You walk around and instead of shooting everything, you slice it up with swords, axes, and then you can also have secondary weapons that allow you to shoot stuff. And then some characters have got different skills, like I'm using Marcus Gruber. He's a mercenary.
Marcus Gruber. I like that name.
Yeah, so he's kind of like the warrior class to begin with in this. Just gets in close, slices stuff, cleaves his enemies, and then he can also wield like either a repeater gun or a blunderbuss. But there are other characters like Carillion. She's more sort of rogue favoured, so she's supposed to sort of attack enemies around the side when they're not noticing. Then she's got a crossbow which can just pick off enemies from afar. There's a character called Fiona. She's a bright wizard, which means she can sit there and sort of hit stuff with fireballs, to the point where the way her character works is that when she's not attacking things, or she's not letting off steam, fireballs, she charges up that energy, and it gets to a point where she then has to attack something, and then it causes a massive load of damage. I think the storyline reason is if she doesn't let the stuff go, she basically combusts.
She explodes.
Yep, the exploding.
Magic buildup. That happens in Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah. Oh God, Fairly Odd Parents. What a show that was.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It was fairly odd.
It was fairly odd. They should have a mod for Vermintide, where like it's called but instead of rats, you're fighting an army of like Verne Troyers. And
God.
So it's like Vernentide.
Vernentide.
And they all just run at you, going like, "Ee!"
Well, they're all mini me.
"Ee!" Imagine like 1,000. "Ee!"
Oh God. And then because it works like Left 4 Dead in the fact that there'll be points where you'll hear bells ringing in the background, and when that happens, you got a horde of them. So yeah, 1,000 Verne Troyers, all going ee.
Exactly.
That's a scary thought, and with the fact that it is actually moddable, that can happen.
Make it happen, community.
Oh God, yeah, please. Vernentide, perfect. Well, with that thought, we can now move on to the news with news time. Insert
News
bit
time.
where Ryan goes, news time.
News time.
And while we're speaking about mods, we'll go to that story first. My God, of all the weird things that people can mod their games with, I remember Fallout and people putting in the death claws in the Fallout games and replacing the death claws with weird long-necked Macho Man Randy Savages.
Oh yeah!
Complete with oh yeah! I was like, oh god. So but someone has managed to do the same with Resident Evil 2, as this article from Eurogamer states. So in Resident Evil 2, they've kind of sort of replaced the sort of just a bog standard Titan with tyrant, not Titan, with Mr. X, which is still a tyrant, but now he wears clothes and a hat and still chases you down and is unstoppable unless you hide. But someone has they've modded this to replace Mr. X with and there's no other way of saying this, Thomas the Tank Engine.
Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba.
It is the most horrifying sight, and it's weird because the video that's gone round is like, someone running back and they're playing Claire's storyline where the tyrant is, because in Leon's storyline it's a lot less exciting. I mean, it's boring. I can't help it. Claire's is the more interesting storyline of constantly being chased, and to be constantly chased by this grinning face, this giant blue trained body, and just the perma smile. The only way it could be made worse is if they did have the Thomas the Tank Engine theme tune that Duncan was using there, but in a slightly warped way.
Yeah, it'd be great if it was like a sort of like muted and like distorted. It's like
yeah, and oh god, that'd be
like make it all like slow and menacing as he gets closer to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. So yeah.
That Tank Engine eats children for breakfast. That is the face of a man who has seen murder and was not upset. He has seen murder and was intrigued.
Oh, yeah. The fat controller really let that one go. He's like, Thomas, it's not happening. You can go. Eat people elsewhere. There's a place called Raccoon City. It's quite a few thousand miles away from the island of Sodor. However, I believe it'll have everything you need. So,
the only thing that can stop this Thomas the Tank Engine mod is probably Sir Topham Hatt.
Yeah, I would say so. So, if you want to make your horror games even more horrifying by putting children's TV characters in it, then and you got the PC version of Resident Evil 2, of course.
Oh my god, I know what's coming next. I know what's coming next.
Oh,
Teletubbies.
Oh god.
He gets replaced with that random Teletubby.
Oh god, Tinky Winky coming over.
I don't know their names, man. I just know I don't want to see one.
No, definitely not. So that's that was the way that we just ease into what will now be an odd selection of news. I'll give it this. While we're doing this, Steph is feeding us news like we are Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, we're probably not going to get to all of it. We're kind of aiming for a shorter podcast this week.
We will certainly try, Steph. But so we'll move on. We'll go to the next one. Let's do this one, because I like to laugh at people. So, Plague Inc. It used to be known as Pandemic, before the makers of the board game Pandemic went and said, no, you can't use that. So they called it Plague Inc. It's been going around a bit now. It's quite an old game. 2012 simulation game where you were a virus and you had to basically destroy the world.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
Step 1, virus. Step 2, destroy the world. Step 3, question mark.
Step 4, profit? There's not really, I guess there's not much profit.
How does a virus profit? They're not even viruses aren't even really alive per se.
No, they are odd. But they have their purpose, they know what they want to do, and in Plague Inc. you get to do that. Always start with making it undetectable. Always. Don't add your lethality first. It's just a hint. But yeah, so you play it and you take over the world. And they've had some scenarios in the past, or different ways of doing it between viruses, bacteria, and other stuff. They had a cross promotion with Planet of the Apes, where you could then make the simian flu from the film. But what's happened recently, and this has come up through a story that's happened, from this resurgence of anti-vaccination, the conspiracy theory and social outrage that basically says that people should not you should not vaccinate your
You
children.
should not vacuum your children. Leave it to the Roombas.
Vacuum the children. They can be messy little fuckers.
Leave that to the Roombas.
Yeah, but not Roombo. He knows no wrong. Well, actually, he protects the house. He knows what he does. He's loyal. He's loyal.
No,
But,
well, he's loyal until he goes into First Blood mode.
Ah, well, yeah. Then that headband
You
comes
never know what's
on.
gonna happen.
But yeah, so there's this whole thing about people not wanting to vaccinate their children because apparently vaccinating your child is more dangerous than the viruses that you're vaccinating against. Let me say it right now. Hot take from Ryan here right now. Bullshit. You are fucking stupid.
Well, everyone loves to point the autism finger at vaccinations, even though there's emerging scientific evidence to suggest that autism forms in the fetal state, actually, like before you're born, let alone having been poked with a needle. So yeah.
So no vaccination would change that. But yeah, based on that, I'm sorry, if you're not vaccinating your child and there's fucking outbreaks of stuff going on, you're part of the problem, not the solution. That's a hot take.
We've actually had some, to get real for a second, we've actually had some problems, I think, in Vancouver, up over here in Canada, where, anti-vaccination has gotten strong enough that there have been some outbreaks of, measles or something. All diseases people have vaccinated and eradicated a long time ago are coming back because people aren't immunizing themselves anymore.
Yeah.
Or enough of them aren't that it's becoming a problem. But I can't remember where that is. I can't remember if it's Vancouver or Halifax or something. But yeah, somewhere in Canada that's becoming a problem now.
Yeah, and I think something happened in the one that sort of got to my attention was somewhere in Chicago where there was a resurgence of measles or something along those lines, and massive outbreak of it, and people are going, oh no, how did we not know this was going to happen? Yeah. Anyway, we move on. So the headline that's on another Eurogamer article is Plague Inc. developer to add anti-vaxxers to the game after the petition goes viral. That's kind of, I get what you're saying there, Eurogamer, but they added a petition and said that if it gets to 10,000 signatures, they will add a scenario to Plague Inc. where anti-vaxxers exist. Or as what I would probably then call that, easy mode.
Easy mode, yeah.
Because, it just makes it easier to spread the viruses. But it hit the target as of the publication of the article on the 28th of February. It reached 20,000 signatures and continues to rise. So we're gonna run the scenarios.
Anti-vax.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna have some anti-vax.
Yeah, definitely some anti-vaxxers in there. They're going on the idea. James Vaughan, creator of Plague Inc., told Eurogamer on that, is saying, quote, "It's great to see so many people sticking up for science. Good. Science
we'll
makes
say
stuff
that.
go forward. I think people just want it in something easy to target, but you know what? Sure. So be it.
Yeah,
But,
we'll just say it's science.
Yeah. But they did say that they have a few ideas that we're trying out and running them through the algorithms. The biggest challenge being that if everyone in Plague Inc.'s global simulation suddenly stopped getting vaccinated, then it would be a very easy game to win. That is true. But I reckon you could do something in there and maybe take real world data of where that stuff happens and, make it work. But yeah, you know what? It's a political point. I know some people say keep politics out of the video games, but I'm on the idea of well, you know what? It's interesting. It's interesting to simulate how that could possibly work. So
Sure.
So we'll go there, and we continue in terms of bad choices with this THQ article. I'm just
What do you think? One or two more articles?
I reckon we we'll finish with the article afterwards. I'll very quickly go through this one then to try and keep this because I know we're going to be running for time. So THQ Nordic, good game publisher, managed to bring a lot of stuff back from the ashes in terms of in terms of gaming, like Darksiders and other stuff. Very, very bad PR as they as they went ahead and they were going to host an Ask Me Anything, an AMA.
Yeah, that by itself is already a risk. Those often turn out really poorly for people who aren't like internet personalities.
Yeah,
it's like someone who's like, I wonder what the internet is like today. Oh God, what have I done? It usually ends up pretty badly in the first place. It's better suited for people who are used to the environment, who have climatized, so to speak.
Definitely, but it is doubly bad if you decide to host it on particular places that aren't Reddit, like I don't know, 8chan.
I gotta be honest, I don't actually know what 8chan is, and I think I'm probably better off for it.
Right. So let's give you this. Do you know what 4chan is?
Yes.
Yeah. Think 4chan, but with less restrictions.
Oh, good.
And that's about as far as we will go now. That's just needless to say, Nordic got absolutely roasted for even attempting to do this. They've come out and they've apologized for being short-sighted and not realizing how bad the very bad website is. A quick Google search would have told you that, my friends, but still, I think THQ Nordic will learn very quickly. Just use Reddit. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just like just stick to that one.
Yeah, it works. The thing with Reddit is if it's not great, it gets downvoted to oblivion and literally gets deleted. So do that. So Engadget, thank you for telling me about that and the fact that it went as well as they thought, which was bad. And we will quickly wrap this up with one last one from Eurogamer. I know this is normally a bit where we do business with Duncan. Let's see if we can get a very, very quick one on this. Activision Blizzard tells investors recent redundancies could negatively impact its business.
Let's see. Rumors, conversation, cut 8% of the workforce. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So while Duncan's going over that, I'll just quickly say, we said a couple of weeks back that, Activision had massive growth over the past year, but they needed to shed some of the fat. We talked the pros and cons of that, and the fact that they got rid of 800 people. Now, this article from Eurogamer goes on the idea and suggests that, the company's annual Form 10K report, so it'll be a business report, as acknowledged to their investors and the shareholders that the layoffs could negatively impact the business. So, how often does a case that getting rid of people doesn't help the business in any way, and in fact could just be as bad and worse than what they did intend?
It sounds to me like, reading this article, that everything that I said all the reasons that I said that they were doing all those cutoffs and made those decisions in either last week or the week before, it sounds to me like I was pretty much spot on as far as their reasoning goes.
Yeah.
But then this article, it seems to me like basically, they fucked up. It sounds to me like they may have gone a little overboard, and maybe we're looking at a list of names rather than the actual real world ramifications of it. They're talking about how different labor laws in different regions will take this differently. They require different levels of compensation or notice. And it sounds to me like they were maybe not as careful as they should be in deciding what people should be redundant and why they should be redundant, and maybe they have. It sounds like they may have destabilized a portion of their company a little bit as a result, and have currently set aside $150 million of provisions to compensate employees and sort of weather the restructuring storm that is to come.
Yeah, so it's a. I mean, that's probably a backfire that well, like we said, it's a backfire that even Activision didn't expect at that point, really. So
Yeah. Yeah, it also sounds to me like they didn't say it specifically, but it sounds to me like they're also a little bit worried that this decision, followed by the discovery that the decision was not a very well thought out decision, or
mm,
not as well thought as I thought it was, may impact investors' perspective on the company and may make people less interested or more cautious of Activision Blizzard as a company.
mm,
And you know, investing is the investing part of a company is the financing part is a very interesting part because a lot of the times it's like with companies that are like developers and they also have like a financing department.
mm,
It it's a weird situation because it's like they have a product, they have a service, they have a thing that gets them most of their money, and like for the most part, that is the part of the company that determines its true worth, is how they're performing on that front. But then there's sort of this secondary part in the financing department where, there's a lot of like day-to-day changes in their value and their assets that they have to work with based on just people speculating on the future value of their company, whether that's the layman individuals buying stock, or if it's like major investors moving millions around looking for the
mm.
next big thing to put their money in, or at least find something that's better than cash to hold their money in.
Yeah, I recommend gold.
I don't, but that's a whole other conversation. But but yeah, so it's like, a game developer might be a year or more in between each game. So a lot of their assessment of the value, a lot of the assessment that goes into evaluating their company in between is, day-to-day stuff like this where, news articles come out and it's either good or bad, and people will either buy shares or sell shares, or they'll invest money or pull out investments, or they'll make a deal or cancel a deal based on that information. So it's like, these things do matter, and I think that Blizzard is maybe a little bit concerned that regardless of how this affects their company, that some regardless of how this may affect them on a real level, it may impact them on a surface level that's more than cosmetic and may alter their ability to. It may reduce their evaluation a little bit, which could affect future performance.
Yeah.
It's all business talk that even I'm only barely wrapping my head around, and I'm stammering a lot and trying to explain what I'm thinking as best as possible. But yeah, they're having a bit of a hard time. The TLDR there is they're having a bit of a hard time. They've made mistakes and they're trying to save face.
Don't worry about that. It was an unprepared business with Duncan segment that was kind of thrown on you there. So, thank you very much for that. But I understand where you're coming from, and again, it's going to be one of those we will monitor the situation things, because this Activision thing just doesn't seem to end. So we will see how we go. However, things that will end will be today's podcast.
Oh,
So,
apparently another thing that's ending is my employment here. Stefan has just let me know that I've been let go from Immaterial Gamers.
You see, hold on, something coming in. Yes, I've just received information that will negatively affect the podcast. Or it may negatively affect.
Investors will be less inclined to invest in a podcast that can't keep its company in line and can't tell the difference between a useful and not useful employee. As a result, our stock price is going to decline severely.
Oh man.
We could see up to 20% loss.
Yeah, well, geez, there wasn't even much value in there to begin with. However, I'll work behind the scenes. I'll make sure that you're employed by the next time you're available for a podcast. Leave it with me. So we will wrap this up. If you did enjoy what you've heard so far in our little tenure that's going on, please do the likey, sharey, subscribe thing with the bell. I've went round and done a suggestion of changing all the title names of the podcast, or at least I've changed the order of the stuff that appears in the titles of the podcast. So yeah, that'll be something to look at. Yeah, keep an eye on all the stuff that's on there. We got, you know, the SIDS, we got the play sessions, we got role-play not him against, even though that nearly didn't happen due to memory issues with the bloody game that I'm running. But we've also, almost fingers crossed, solved the monster prom issue, so that
should hopefully be coming out
would
soon.
have some resolving. Yeah, it'll be coming out soon. Resolving circumstances. There we go.
Yeah, that's update. Apparently that message was for Dan. Danny. So I'm gonna be here, guys. Probably not next week. I may be busy next week, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, we will see what happens. But yeah, until and also check out the audio podcasts. They are there as well. I'll take them, put them on the audio. It all works out. So yeah, until next time. Thank you very much, Duncan.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. And until next week, please don't kill each other, and also don't invest in gold.
Unless you do it with a disease or a Roomba. Those are fine.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, see you next time, guys.
Bye. Bye.